Well, the academic school calendar year kicked off last week with pupils in the inland provinces returning to school. This week, coastal schools will reopen as teaching and learning resumes for this year. People living in South Africa continue to be hit by the rolling blackouts. Now, to talk about the return to school and the impact of the blackouts, we are joined by Collen Malatji, who's a member of the Parliament in the Education Portfolio. Collen, thank you so much for your time. So, I mean, it's safe to say for 2023, for some families, it's been a bit of a bumpy start, especially when you're trying to make sure that your kids are ready and set for school and are placed. But from your perspective, what do you make of the reopening so far and what has transpired, at least in the past week?
Look, it's always a challenging problem because a lot of families are moving towards economic areas. You will find that others get employment on the last minutes. They have to move to Gauteng. Now, provinces like Gauteng and the Western Cape and mainly the metros are mainly faced with more problems because of the migrant labor that is moving towards their province. It's a very challenging program. That's why we need to work very hard to make sure that we fix our economy and make sure that other provinces, like rural provinces, we create what we call economic corridors, where every province has got economic activities that are linked to schools that will be able to provide the skills for those areas. Then there will be no need for a higher level of many people moving towards the cities and a lot of schools in rural areas left unattended.
But I suppose also that aside, we're also dealing with the rolling blackouts, especially when schools require electricity in addition to the other problems that we do know that are taking place on the ground in some of the schools. How do we navigate around that, especially when we're dealing with these blackouts?
You know, the biggest problem that we face as a country is that we have a strong president that does not have a cabinet. The simple things that the role of the executive is to assist, to advise and support the president in his work. Now that's why the whole country blames the president for everything when there's a big cabinet that is appointed as supposed to do the work, because most of them, they behave like groupies. All they do is take selfies with the president but not doing what they're supposed to do to make sure that they advise and assist the president to resolve all of these problems. The issue of the energy crisis, there's no way that you can say as a developing country trying to build a very strong economy to create employment, but you can't resolve an energy security issue. It's a big issue. It's a security issue. It's an issue that everything must be stopped and make sure that matter is resolved, because without that thing, we're going to have schools that are shutting down. We're going to have people losing jobs. We're going to have businesses collapsing. Now, we need the Minister of Minerals was very clear that there's enough energy that we can use from our power stations. Now, if we want to put in the IPPs, we need to add them on what already exists. Then we're able to give energy to our people and attract investors in our own country so they create employment for our own people. Because if you can put as many people to go to school, but if they're going to go out of school and still remain unemployment, I can tell you now we're going to have a country where there's going to be Arab Springs. And when there's anarchy in the country and we lose control of the country, we'll never be able to build this country again, because now when there's anarchy, it opens space for opportunism. Now, it's very clear that the president needs to create a team that has got energy to resolve all of this problem. He must agree that there's no cabinet. He's a strong president without a cabinet. Now, it weakens him. He needs to strengthen himself and make sure that he appoints people that are ready to serve, but not to be his groupies and fight for his attention.
Let's go back. Perhaps let's look at some of the work that you guys do within the education portfolio. What kind of discussions are you having amongst yourselves and probably engaging with others, in the sort of network to get a sense as to how do we fix some of the problems that we are seeing in our schools, dealing with some of the issues that we're seeing that the youth are experiencing? What are the plans for 2023? What were some of the issues perhaps even for 2022?
Look, part of the issues that we're working on is to integrate the education system, where we also invest more in specialized schools. In my introduction, I spoke about the corridors. We need to make sure if there's agricultural areas, we need to specialize agriculture. If there's issues where we must produce artisans to assist issues like energy and mineral issues, we must produce that. We need more skilled people who can assist the economy, because for us to move forward, we need to reindustrialize. It's very important that we move fast to make sure that the minerals of this country assist the people of the country. We can't export more than 7% of our minerals and expect there's employment here. The employment is created elsewhere. You export them. It's going to assist areas like London to create their secondary industries and tertiary industries while yours collapse. Look at Germiston. It's a third town. It used to be the biggest industrial hub in Africa. Because because our minerals are leaving the country, coming here as finished products, we're not unable to assist those areas. Now, solutions are there. We're not complaining. We're saying that let's give solutions. Let's put our country first. Let's put the people of the country first. The most important thing that we must do is to put bread on the tables of our people, because if the youth continue to roam around the streets, they're going to be on drugs, they're going to be on crime, they're going to vandalize our own schools and our own infrastructure. Moving around, you can see they are stealing cables. There's a lot of things that are happening in the country that it affects the infrastructure of the country, that we've invested a lot of money on it. Now, those are the solutions that we need to bring on point to make sure that we secure the energy issue. We make sure that we fast track it, we stop everything and resolve it. We reindustrialize and making sure that not more than 25% of our raw material leave the country. They remain in the country to revive our industries and create jobs for our people.
Collen, thank you so much for your time and sharing your perspective of what you make in terms of especially the back to school and the impact that the blackouts are having. That is Collen Malatji, who is a member of parliament in the education portfolio, talking to us about the impact of the rolling blackouts.